According to Commissioner Northrop, the relationship between Congress and the regulatory agencies are dysfunctional because Congress takes into account the individual factors of most people. It's composed of 435 people, which include senators, 100 senators, who are entrepreneurs and have preoccupying concerns. It does not only look at the rules and regulations of one side of the market, but for the most part of all. Agencies specifically focus on the microscopic detail and implementation of a bill in a sense. For number two, regulation adds to the cost of doing business for multiple reasons. It requires relabeling, reengineering, recalls, fines, lawsuits, penalties, testing, certifications, and she doesn't believe that these costs are necessary because not all of these costs or aspects affect health in significant manners. And for example, with the lead, they redesign the bill and decrease the amount of lead absorption and the lead amount allowed per product, and lead's not absorbed as easily in other materials such as the bars, as she mentioned, like it is in paint. So they are not all necessary costs. Agency aren't flexible. They pretty much make these changes and requirements all across the boards for all kinds of products. For example, it went from paint to zippers and other kinds of items. The system lends itself to overregulation because it allows for these agencies to micromanage the production process of companies when there are some health-related issues which cause most of the cost factors in redesigning products or relabeling. This can lead to overregulation. Regulations can impede economic growth, and also there are implications of slow economic growth. For example, regulations can impede economic growth by causing companies to have high costs and more tedious processes in production through reengineering, the testing, certification, and labeling, and other factors. Governments can also run into trouble when their finances are not correct and unwise due to unwise policy decisions, and they actually impact the nation's control. For example, with bad tax policies, bad spending and borrowing, they slow growth due to these choices. For example, with deficits, which are financed by borrowing, national debt rises, budget surplus are then sometimes in place and they lower debt, but they also, what it means is that they spend less than tax revenue. Slowed economic growth can cause harmful consequences for the pace of technological innovation and sustained economic growth. There's some authorities that slow the process of products going out to consumers in different markets. For example, the FDA, they place constraints with new pharmaceuticals. Also, there's barriers to trade. There's also barriers that cause more difficulty for small businesses.